Yo, what's good, bro? Yo, what's goody, bro?
Maintaining family. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm trying to wait for everybody else.
All
See
right.
if they're coming. They ain't coming, man. I mean, ain't no sense. I guess I sent out all the links. I'm late my damn self.
Hey, I understand. Life happens. I got a household full of. I got a household,
Yeah, definitely.
sometimes, sometimes you got to have those. That extra little moments to say, all right, I got to take myself a little break now because I got this going on and that going on. So I feel you.
That or I don't know what's going on. I should be fucking up. All right, welcome everybody. Today we are gonna go over what it's like to walk in a black man's shoes. Just waiting on my guests to come in, have a little roundtable discussion. Yeah, I'm trying to get all the kinks worked out, everything worked out. I mean, it's the first test run, and we're doing all right so far. So, cam off, one more gas. What's going on? All right, you muted. I'm not. I'm about to. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I was muted real quick. Um, yeah, I know you said you was waiting for some other people, so I'm over here just trying to get my daughter straight real quick. So,
Yeah, do you think? Do you think?
all right.
I'm trying to wait for them too.
Definitely, definitely.
I'm about to start calling motherfuckers in a second. You know, when they say, yeah, man, sending these links and joints. Hey, yo, what's goody, bro?
Yo, we shaking on me.
Yeah, Deuce about to come through. He coming back. I'm trying to get everybody else on there. I'm just about to call you, bro. I'm like, yo, trying to get everybody a second to
Yeah,
wait.
I just I just saw it. I was like, bet, let's do this.
Yeah, I know everybody want to get to them plates, so trying to make it quick.
You stupid. You stupid.
Hey,
I know
bro,
about
what's
them
going on?
giant chicken wings out there. But give me a
Yo,
sec. I'll be right back.
D,
Shoot.
what's good?
Yo, Happy New Year's, my brother.
Same to you, family. I know,
I
I
cut this.
know.
I cut my.
I heard what happened, so my condolences, bro. My condolences.
Man, appreciate it, homeboy.
Yeah. So, so
Oh man.
yeah, I'm about to get. So, what's been on your mind, family?
Ah, here we go. Copacetic. Yeah, man. How about you? How the fam? I seen you up there. I think you was cleaning or cooking, one of the two.
Yeah, I was cleaning the kitchen up real quick. You know, the family good, family good. Girls are getting big, boys are getting big. You know, the family.
Yeah, everybody getting big. Oh, okay. Yo,
Yo, my bad.
Gucci.
My fucking phone dead. Had to switch over real quick.
I ain't gonna lie. I just took mine off a charger.
I took mine off a little earlier. I had a couple of phone calls prior.
All right. So, well, I got two more guests. All right. So I want to open up the floor. All right. Good evening, everybody. You know what I mean? I hope y'all had a good, New Year's. Hope y'all got y'all fun. Everything, So I'm just gonna open up the floor. I'm not gonna wait for nobody no longer, cause we all got these plates to get to. You know what I mean? But I'm just gonna have a discussion about first discussion is about as a black man being in our shoes and the things that we have to we have to put up with and the things that we have to go through that other people don't, and they take for granted the things that we don't get to get privilege of. You know what I mean? Like for instance,
hmm
um, I was called a nigga by one of my supervisors. All right, so I followed the proper procedure. I talked to one of my other supervisors, and then I went to my boss, and I told them, you know what the ending result was? I got canned because I went through the proper protocol. So everything that was on camera, they tried to make up something and slander my name and my reputation with something that wasn't off of camera. And then they're gonna tell me they did a thorough investigation. When I said, "How you gonna thoroughly investigate something that never happened?" You know. But I say that to say this: the things that we have to put up with and the things that we have to go through, especially in the workforce or trying to do things for ourselves or trying to get small businesses or trying to do anything, credit cards, anything. When you put that you're black on there, then everything changes.
Oh, I agree with that.
I feel in my position that if it was a white man, if it was a Chinese man, if it was a Jewish man, if it was any other kind of man other than black, they would have. I mean, things would have happened to the supervisor about that kind of conduct, which is unethical. But since
Mm-hmm.
I'm black, not only am I not only is my reputation being tarnished, but they're trying to take my dignity and my pride away from me. They can't do that. They can't strip me of my dignity or my pride. I say fuck that job. I will find another one like always. You know what I mean? But I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't even want to work for them anyway because if I could be called a nigga and then HR doesn't do anything about it, that's not a company I want to work for.
Facts.
I'll open the floor up to anybody else.
Facts. Well, I ain't gonna hold you. Just to piggyback off of that shit. Yeah, we have a lot to deal with in terms of going against them, but we also have a lot to deal with in going against.
Come again, going against what? I think we lost you, buddy. Well, as he was speaking on that, I just think,
Yo, am I back?
yeah, you're back.
Okay.
No, you
I'm
good. You good.
sorry. I don't know what happened. But
You're
no,
good.
what I was trying to say is we gotta not only you see us as black men, especially black men that's trying to move forward on their own, we have to deal with not only the hardships that they're gonna give us, but we gotta deal with the hardships of our own kind stepping on us and trying to screw us over. And what I mean by that is the job I was at before this, I had a warehouse manager who was black. And I ain't gonna lie, he let that little position go to his head to the point he would really be overstepping. Like he talk to you crazy, like he'll try to push your buttons to get you to react in a negative type of way. And and then when you react that way, now that you're looked at as the crazy black man, the crazy nigga, the you know what I'm saying? But there ain't nobody saying nothing about what pushed you to come to act like that. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, my friend. But it's not just like what pushed you to act that way. It's provoking you to act that way. Like we
That's what I
are.
mean. Like what they not seeing that this person is constantly egging you on, and constantly trying to violate you, constantly trying to, you know. So it's like they don't want to see that, but they want to be okay that you shouldn't act like that. You should have followed protocols. I did follow protocols, and nothing happened. What am I supposed to do? I'm a human being. Y'all want to? Yeah, everybody want to talk this Christ? Oh, turn the other cheek. Listen, I only got two cheeks. After the second cheek, what you get is what you get. Like I could turn my cheek. Yeah, I can turn the other cheek once. I can turn the other cheek twice. But in every religion follows a three strike rule. A Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Everything follows like a three strike rule. So after the third strike, it's like, all right, now I'm gonna have to give you what you asking for.
I totally understand, my man. I totally understand. I totally understand. And yeah, it's just like even with small businesses, bro. Even with small businesses, they charge the black man more to open up a small business. We get taxed more.
Yes, they do. Yes,
If
they
you live
do.
if you live in a black neighborhood, even if your crime rate is low, they still charge you higher for your insurance, home insurance,
Yep.
auto insurance, house insurance, everything. Like
Yep.
if you're in a black neighborhood,
Everything.
you're paying more dollars, and those dollars that you're paying takes off of your investment money, takes off of your savings
Yep.
money. Like these other people, that you can have the same job as a white person, and just because they live in a certain community, they get lower rates on everything. Even I heard when you're white, your credit score starts at a 550. When you're
Soon as
black,
you're born.
when you're black, you just don't have no credit history.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
crazy. Um, yeah, I've heard. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yo, can you hear me? All right, bet.
Yeah.
All right. To land back on what y'all brothers are saying, right? So first, I'll be thinking this goes way back before to what it is now. We allowed, and I said we allowed this to continue on. You know, we had leaders back in the day. You know, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, all these
Yes.
different type of leaders who tried to do things, and we saw what worked and what didn't work. But instead of us seeing what worked and what didn't work, and then building on what was working and get rid of the things that didn't work, we already knew protesting wasn't working. Martin Luther King
Hmm.
made that very clear. Protest was not going to work
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
you got to go through specific channels to protest. You got to go through the government. You got to get a permission to protest. But if you're protesting against the government, how are you going to go to the same people you're trying to protest against? That makes no sense. You over here
Hmm.
trying, we over here trying to fight for things that it's naturally due to us. I shouldn't have to fight to be seen as a human being. I shouldn't have to fight to be seen as a man. I shouldn't have to fight to be seen as a leader. I shouldn't have to fight to be seen as a husband. I shouldn't have to fight for these things. I'm, I
Right.
was born this way. The Creator created us in specific roles and purposes. But we feel like we have to get validation from the other people instead of doing things for ourselves. That's why we allowed them to take over our communities. We did not fight back hard enough to be like, you know what? I'm gonna see what will happen if I get me and my brothers together. We're gonna get our money together and we're gonna buy a house. We all gonna live in that one house. We're gonna save up our money and we're gonna buy another house. And then buy another house. And now we're flipping houses. Because guess what the Hispanics are doing? You
Definitely.
know, I go,
Yeah.
I go back home, I go see my house. It's all Spanish people on the block. I'm not gonna knock their hustle.
Yeah.
They saw
Yeah.
what they came together, they put aside their egos, they put aside their pride, they did all that, and they came together to now they are basically our community, which used to be predominantly white, became predominantly black, and now it's predominantly Hispanic. We
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something.
mhm.
I want to
Just
know
on that note,
when you
we
say
as black people
you
have
touch.
been programmed to not want to build anything with each other. We're always trying to above be. Nobody wants to be equal. Everybody wants to be above. Everybody wants to be that chief. Everybody wants to be that nigga. Everybody wants to be above. If it's not too many of us that can do something like that, put all our money together and build something like that. That's that Willie Lynch
Facts.
that Willie Lynch syndrome. We don't want we are so divided that we can't see each other as equals. We always got to see each other as the enemy. We have to see each other as the person we're trying to one up. When the person we're trying to one up actually doesn't look like us.
Yeah,
And
definitely, definitely. Always trying to one up. You know what I
that
mean?
part
But
of it,
let me get back on to what Chad was talking about. Dupes. All right, all right, okay. You talk about the leaders that we had in the past. The leaders that we had in the past. Let's just think about it. All right, Marcus Garvey was X'd out. Martin Luther King was X'd out. Malcolm X was X'd out. And why? Because of their ideology and because of what they spoke was the truth. They spoke about unity. And let's think about it. Back when I was growing up, when we us guys was growing up in the 80s, we could go to each other's houses, we could get ketchup, we could get sugar, whatever we needed until our moms or whatever went to the grocery store. And it wasn't a problem for our
Facts,
neighbors to give it to us because they knew that they
facts,
could get it back from us. You know, if they needed something.
facts.
You know what I'm saying? But as we slowly progressed into the 90s, and everything started to change. We started to like block parties wasn't happening as frequently. Like the community just started. Just started disconnecting, and that's all by design, fellas. That's all by design, fellas. Like the black community as a whole, we make the fist, and the fist is strong, and that's why they took away all our history. We have to search for knowledge. We have to search to find out who we are. If a person doesn't know who he is, then he don't know which direction to take. And that's the problem with a lot of the young youth right now, because they don't know which way to take. They don't know what to do, and then there's a whole lot of confusion going on, and everything goes against. I'm not trying to be religious or anything, but everything that is prominent right now is everything is against God.
Yeah.
When you look at the everything that's satanic, when you look at how they going after these children through the cartoons, when you look at how they are, with the fashion and everything that they're doing, they're promoting like Christmas, they're promoting Crumpus, sorry for that. They're promoting Crumpus
Hmm.
in a different light. They're promoting him as he was bringing gifts and he's Santa Claus. No, he's the devil, and he was putting kids in sacks and torturing children.
Hmm.
You got a lot of people out here. And that's another reason why I think I was terminated, because I speak on everything that I don't see that's not unjust. It is not just about being black. It's not being about being white, because I had a lot of international people in the hospital I was working with, and these people didn't know English too well. They didn't know what was going on, and you see the state bonuses that they were giving out. They tried to say we couldn't get it because we are not front line, but we are front line. You know what I mean? But they just didn't want to give it to us. I think the hospital was embezzling stuff, and it was
Mm.
embezzling the money because we signed for the money. We signed for the money, and that's a contract. When you put your name to a piece of paper, that's a contract with the company. And since I was speaking on these
Gotcha.
issues, since I was speaking the truth on these issues, and I was speaking about Christmas, and people don't like when you tell the truth. Like I don't judge anybody. If somebody wants to celebrate Christmas, that's their right. God gave us all free will. So if you choose to do as
Hmm.
you will, then I have no complaint with you doing as you will. But as me following the text, and I see these things, and I see how the children act on Christmas, how they act, how they whole mood change, like especially if they don't get something that they want, They whole mood change. It changed to a satanic vibe. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Yo, it's crazy you say that, right? Because we don't celebrate Christmas over here. I got two daughters that they haven't even touched the Christmas gift at all because they were not raised about Christmas, right? But the programming, I want to kind of land back on what you were saying about the programming. The programming is real. We was watching a Disney movie, and my family gets mad at me when we watch movies because I'm always analyzing everything thoroughly. Like, yo, I ain't with this. But the agendas that they're pushing in these children's films, the interracial relationships, again, white man, black woman, the homosexual relationships, again, black men or dark skinned men, and whatever type of man they want to produce. With well, not produce, but they want to show in a relationship with. This isn't a children's movie. I'm seeing this, and I going back to what you were saying before. In the 80s and the 90s, you're starting to see the effects of what happens from the 60s and the 70s when a black man was taken away from the home. See,
yep.
communities were formed because you had families. You can't have a community without families. And a family normally had mother, father, children. The father was the head of the house. You had the wife and you had the children. The children made sure, the mother made sure the children was reared up right. The father made sure that everybody was provided for. And then you had order. When they removed the man from the house for food stamps and welfare and government assistance, saying that the man can't be here if you want to get this help. They already put us. We were working at mailmans and garbage men, and the women were maids and things of that nature. So they wasn't getting that much money, but yet we were over here trying to bring our resources together to make sure our children had whatever they needed. Now you look at what happens when you took the man out, things start to crumble apart. Now you don't have those block parties like you talk about. Now you don't have that community. Now you have a generation of delinquents. We saw it in our youth. We saw how things were progressing. We were looking for manhood. We were looking for masculine energy, I should say, when we were young. And thankfully, y'all have fathers. Y'all know my father wasn't there. My father's in my life now, but my father wasn't there growing up. But I'm thankful that I have fathers like y'all's who was able to take me in to make sure I was good, make sure I was right, so I can become the man that I am today. Now you got a lot of these young males who don't have men in their lives. The men ain't stepping up. They're not doing what they're supposed to do because they don't want to take care of another man's child. But guess what? Y'all know me. I got 3 stepchildren. I take care of another man's child easily because I know the importance of a man figure in a child's life, especially for a boy, because they're going to eventually grow up to be men. And if we're not going to be raising them, who's going to raise them? The women? What?
Amen.
Or the other people? Because they're not going to see them the way we see them, because they're not going to be able to understand the struggles. So yeah, you see a lot of these things, and then you got the women. You know, we can't be fighting against one another. But it seems like we have that problem when we're fighting our own women. So we're fighting our women, we're fighting the other nations, we're fighting amongst each other. It seems like we're at a war just to live, just to survive, just to have anything. So that's why we have to change our mentality, because it all starts in the mind. And this is what I've been learning lately, that mental health is important. Because if our minds are not right, we can't think straight. If we can't think straight, we can't make sound decisions. If we can't make sound decisions, it's just going to snowball into chaos. So now we got to do what it has to do to make sure, yo, you good, bro? You need anything? We got to let that pride mentality and that ego mentality to go away. Because guess what? We can't have pride no more. The homosexuals took that. They took pride, and I'm glad that they took it, because the Most High says, well, in the scripture said, pride comes before the fall. That
Yep.
means if you're going to have a mentality that you think you're better than everyone, guess what? The only thing you can do when you go all the way up is what? Fall down. And it's going to be a long drop. But if you got brothers that are helping you and y'all building together, you got a sturdy foundation, you ain't gonna fall. You're just gonna have the next generation to climb on your backs to go further. And that's what we need to start doing. We need to start reestablishing our marriages, our relationships, our families, and then start coming together and bringing our resources together to start building the communities. There's land for sale. There's towns for sale. Maybe when we stop doing for self and start doing for each other, as I am a part of this, you're a part of this. Let's do this together because I'm ready to jump ship. I ain't gonna lie. I'm ready to take me and my family across seas to Africa and just chill. Because at least I'm around a bunch of people that look like me, and I ain't gotta worry about much. I'm gonna have to deal with, oh, you American. You don't. I'm quick to learn cultures. That's easy. I can adapt. But if we're not gonna have the mentality to come together and be divided, the only thing we're gonna do is continue to hurt ourselves. And I got children in these streets, and I'm not trying to have them fall into that same pitfall that we fell into. We, if we don't make that change, who will? Are we going to let our children to be the ones to be like, yo, you know what? My daddy didn't do it, so I'm not going to do it. Or my daddy didn't do it, so I got to do it. You know, with that mentality, we never going to get nowhere. But if you say, you know what, I'm going to do it because my daddy didn't do it, or I'm going to do it because my daddy couldn't do it, or I'm going to do it because my daddy did the best he can, and I'm going to stand on his back and do better. Now we're going to start preparing generational wealth, and that starts with the mind. We have to start healing from the inside, healing how we think. Healing our spiritual essence, keeping our energy intact and pure. We can't allow the things that is happening to affect us to a way that it now poison those around us. We are the ones that give the seed. And since we are the one that give the seed, what comes out of that seed is basically starts with us. So I really think that it's important that we learn the mistakes that we are making and start maturing and having more conversations like these so we can start coming up with solutions. So
And
Definitely,
I agree
definitely,
with everything
definitely.
you just said. Go ahead, bro.
Now speak, bro. Go ahead. Do you think?
Oh no, no. I was saying I agree with everything you just said. But it all goes back to what I said about the Willie Lynch and how we're so separated. Like it might be us three that are on one accord, and let's say we try to bring some other brothers in, and out of those five, we might get one that's on the same page, and then the rest of them will fall off by the wayside. It's going to take more than just three brothers. It's going to take more than just five brothers. We need a whole community backing, and by community I mean that look like us. We need a whole community backing to really get out from up under this stage we're in. We was always taught, oh, go to school, get a job, go to school, get a job. That's their way of doing it. We need to come up with our own way of progressing and stick with it.
I agree. I agree. Um, education, it can mean many things. You know, I I was watching a lesson, an interview with my teacher, and he was talking about how when he went to Israel, he saw 11-year-olds as shepherds. I'm talking about an
Mm,
11-year-old boy over a whole flock of sheep. That shows responsibility and
mm.
accountability. That's an education and training because that's teaching him something that he needs to learn in order for him to survive as he gets older. We're not raising our children in that fashion. We're allowing the school systems to teach them what they want to teach them and then allow them to continue to choose what they want, what allowing our children to choose whatever they want to do, but we're not steering them in the direction that we see. As a parent, you know what your child is good at. You know if your child is good at math or science. You know your child is good at art, at music. You know what your child can succeed at. And as parents, we're supposed to be steering our children in that direction. And I also want to go back to what you were saying about the community. Um, when I read the scriptures, right, I read about Abraham, being the founder of what they say the three monotheistic religions, right? But the thing about Abraham is, right, it was him, his wife, and his nephew, and it got to a point where his nephew and him had to split. He still had his people, his nephew had his people, but they had to split. And from him, he had children. He had Ishmael, he had Isaac, and then he had his other sons later on. But he became a nation because the Most High made a promise to him. Because he said, because you chose to follow me and listen to me, I'm going to make you a nation. To go to show that we all have that ability to become a nation. We have that ability to become a nation. That means that what we do ultimately, the choices we make will ultimately decide what's going to happen to our descendants to come. If we're making the wrong choices now, it's going to lead to more wrong choices later. Going back to what you saying about the Willie Lynch letter. I can have a Willie Lynch letter mentality, or I can have a Nat Turner mentality. Nat Turner was willing to fight. Yeah, he died, but he was willing to fight for what he believed in, and he was remembered for that. He led. He led the revolts that made other plantations revolt. So we have people who would rather sacrifice their lives for freedom. And then you have other people that are complacent, say, I'd rather live and be mistreated than to lose my life. Well, you don't have a life. You're not living if you're in captivity. If you have a captive mindset, you're not living. All you're doing is living a false reality of freedom. And that's what we do today. We think because we got TVs and we got refrigerators and we got our game systems and we can drive and do this, we got freedom. We don't got no freedom. Because if we have
I take it
freedom,
a step further on that one, homie. We ain't got no free. We think just because we could go to the same school as them, that we could drink from the same water fountains as them. You go to the same grocery stores. There's no colored only sign that we have freedom, but we don't have no freedom, bro.
that is a basic, those are basic necessities. That's
I
the
got a
bare
question.
minimum. Go ahead. Go ahead, bro.
So did separation hurt us or did it help us?
Combination of both, if you ask me.
Personally, I
I'm
say it hurt
saying,
us.
I'm
I
saying when segregation, did it help us or did it hurt us?
It hurt us. I'm gonna be honest. It hurt us. We did
Go ahead,
more
Chase.
with
Do yours first.
we did more with Oklahoma. Well, with Tulsa, Oklahoma, before they bombed it. Because of the things we were able to accomplish by being separate, they felt threatened. They felt threatened. That's why they destroyed everything we built, because they knew if we can build this without them, what can we do if we was in charge? That's why they didn't want us in government. That's why they didn't want us in these different high positions, because they knew a people who's gone through the situations that we have gone through and rised above it, they couldn't handle slavery. You got, and I have to say this, the Ish people, because I don't want this to get removed or anything like that. The Ish people talking about they had 12 years of hardship and it was the worst crime in the world. That's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
When you got us who were dying on ships, you had us being ripped from our families, you got us being sold as if we were nothing
Mm-hmm.
for hundreds of years in various different places. Brazil is one of the most African population next to Africa because of how many slaves came over there. You got the Caribbeans over
Mm-hmm.
here because of that. And you want to say your 12 years matches up to our 200, 300, 400 years? That's bullshit. We are the only
All
ones
right.
to show that we have the resilience to survive the things we have done. You
Yeah,
know, we
yeah.
walked around and fought
Go to
wars
the
with
Bible.
stripes on our
Go
backs.
back to the Bible.
Huh?
The lost tribes will be impersonated, bro.
Of course.
We're
And,
gonna
and
we
Mm-hmm.
were gonna be impersonated. Like everything in the Bible is true. The word is true. You
see,
know
you
what I'm
not see
saying?
what I have on my hat?
If you really read it, you can see the similarities from the word to now. And as we grew up, you seen the shift. Like right now, they don't care. They're talking about demon time. They're throwing it up. They got all of these messages. They got everything. Like even if you go against the pride community, even somebody who's heterosexual will look at you like, what are you saying right now? Like, what are you doing? Like my marriage went because I didn't agree with a whole lot of things that people are putting up with. I don't agree with a whole lot of things people are putting up with, and then I will speak my mind. I'm not gonna sit up there in front. I'm not gonna sit up there and play games with people. Like I'm not gonna sit up here and cap for somebody who's not like everybody was capping for Joe Biden, and now they sitting up here talking shit about him.
See,
Like you should have kept the man who was doing the right thing by you in office. He had
yo, listen.
everybody with a job. He had everybody living good. You know what I'm saying? But you didn't want to do that. You know what I mean? You let somebody tell you you ain't who you are if you don't vote for this man. And instead of rising up and saying fuck this nigga, you went out and you gave him your vote. Like, are you
Man, listen.
serious?
Listen,
Are
listen,
you
listen.
serious right now?
Most people, yeah, listen. A lot of people talk about they read the scriptures, they don't read nothing. I'll be up front with that. The reason why I say that, right? Because the scripture says you're supposed to vote for your own kind. You're supposed to choose someone to rule over you amongst your brothers. The scriptures is literally the law. If you want a king, if you want someone to be your head, you're supposed to choose one amongst your brothers because they have to have your best interests in mind. Someone who
Exactly.
never lived your life, never lived in your circumstance, someone who tried to call you beast, they're never going to have your best interests at heart. How, think about talking about Joe Biden, right? You giving money to Ukraine. You over here talking about reparations to Africa, not African Americans, not the people that actually live in
But
this country,
Africa.
the ones who actually going through things. You talk about giving it to Africa. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna say they didn't have their own stuff, but you don't take care of home, and you think that the people outside of your
And
house is going to
mm,
protect you. Listen, you have
Yo,
no, and I'm gonna use this house reference because I use it for everything, right? I use it for when you even talk about the creator. If you say you believe in God, you have to follow God's law. Because if you're in God's house and you don't follow God's law, you get kicked out the house. If you come into my household, if you don't obey my rules, you get kicked out the house. Right now, you have someone that is in charge of this house called the Corporation of the United States of America, and he has all his little people, governing their states and things of that nature, but they're not keeping care of house. So what happens when people are not happy inside the house? They're going to leave the house. They're going to try to find their own house. They're going to start finding someone else's house to live in. Now you're going to have a bunch of people coming against you because you didn't want to take care of those that was in your house in the first place. So you want to give all this money to the other countries, fine. But when shit hits the fan here, they're not going to come to your aid because it's not another country that you're warring with. It's the citizens. And
mm-hmm.
you got, going back to that, the homosexual, the LGBT, that community, right? I
Oh
don't care if
God.
that's your life. I don't care if that's what you choose. I don't care about none of that. Because at
yep,
the end of the day, you're going to have to deal with the consequences that comes with it.
totally agree.
You're going to have, everyone has to deal with the consequences based upon their actions. Whether it's a
To-
reward or a consequence, you're going to have to deal with it. But my thing is this: you should keep that to yourself in regards to if you want to have this happen. You shouldn't be trying to have drag queens come to schools to teach children and read books. You shouldn't have
Mm.
children talk about, oh, I'm a girl. or I'm a boy, and you have them dress up as boys and girls while they're still children. They don't even know, they haven't even gone through puberty yet. They don't
They
even know
don't,
who they
yo,
really are. But you want them to believe, once say, oh yeah, well, you believe this way, and I trust your beliefs. If mom told my mother back in the day, your mom a pit bull now, I'm gonna just growl at you all day. You know what my mom would have done?
or
She would have kicked my ass.
ex-
My mom would
exactly,
have kicked my ass. She would have been like, yo, what are you talking
exactly.
about? You a boy. You're a human boy. No. DMX and like, no. My mom would say, yo, I'm gonna put you in a daggone psych ward. You keep on talking that craziness. Because it's not
Yup,
about what you believe you are, it's what you actually are. We have to learn that people have to
exactly.
learn acceptance. I'm talking about you have to accept who you are. You can't change it. I can't become a white man, even though I see the privileges of a white man. I can't just magically say, "Hey, I'm white
It's,
now." It
it's
ain't gonna happen.
exactly. You can't just throw white out on your face. Okay, now I'm white. No, it don't work like that. Because
So
eventually, all that stuff has to come off. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like you have to return to who you really are.
and now they call it gender dysphoria. That's the current. Before it used to be they considered it a mental illness. Now they call it dysphoria, which basically means that you don't like who you are. You feel like you're supposed to be something else, and I'm like,
So
yo,
that means you're telling God that what He made was a piece of shit, was crap.
oh,
The way He made you, the way He made me, is wrong. How do you like? That's what I don't understand. Like we all believe in a higher power. How do you tell the higher power that made you that he messed up?
because of the mentality we have in the society. See, man has been warring with God since the beginning. Man has been trying to be like God. You can go all the way back to Nimrod and the Tower of Babel when they said that they tried to build a staircase so they can reach the heavens. We over here try to send spaceships and things into the heavens, because in Hebrew, Shamayim means sky. It doesn't mean the seven pearly gates and all that other stuff. It just means the sky. It just means what is above us that we can see, the stars and everything else. So we're trying to manipulate our ability to say, yo, you know what? We want to be like God. So we want to go touch what God touches. We want to do all this. We want to destroy and be building. But now we're over here killing everything. We're destroying the ecosystem with the things that we are creating because we are creating negative things. And I tell people, everything comes from the creator. Every thought, positive and negative, comes from the creator. It's all about what you do with it. You got some people who have a sickness in the mind. And that's true. They have a sickness in the mind. So you got people that say, oh, well, there is no God. Okay. But you can't explain why there's air. You can't explain, why water can turn three things, solid, liquid, and gas, and no other material can do that. You cannot do all these things, but you want to talk about that the creator who created us out of nothing gave us the thought to have to have the mentality we have and the consciousness to be living beings don't exist. But you said we evolved from monkeys, but monkeys still exist today. And I've been to the Brooklyn Zoo. I haven't seen a monkey turn into a human yet. I'm just saying.
Listen, that theory whenever there's something when there's a when there's an evolve, whatever you evolve from disappears.
But I
So
have
just
another
piggyback on
question.
what you was just saying, it's like when you have an evolved when something's evolving, whatever it was, that whole species, that whole group is no longer here. So the fact that we, like you said, we still got monkeys, chimpanzees, all these other monkey-like animals still running around, it's like, okay, you miss me with the BS now.
Yo, the thing is, right? And I'm glad we're having this conversation because this is all, going back to what Cleve was saying earlier. You know, I believe in the curses of Deuteronomy 28, but I also believe in the blessings. The curses is when we defy God, we defy His laws, we defy His instructions. So therefore, automatically, you shall be cursed. You know, you can't war with the Creator and don't think there's consequences.
Later.
But I also believe that if you're standing on the side of the Creator and you're listening and you're humbling yourself and you're doing what He tells you to do, you will be rewarded. I have seen both sides of the field. You know, y'all seen me growing up. Y'all know what it was like. Y'all been in the basement. You know, and I'm out here now. I got my family and everything in this nature. I'm thankful for everything I have, but I had to first have a mind shift change. I had to change my understanding of what I grew up learning and what I'm doing now. Because it's crazy how I'm older and yet I'm still seeing those that were older than me, my aunts and uncles and things of that nature, still doing the same thing that they were doing back then. It's as if there was no progression.
Right.
And that's the thing I want people to really understand is that in order for change to happen, there has to be progression. And that progression comes from us making the conscious decision to do something different. Do something, even if we have to tweak what was done before, do it in a different manner. We don't gotta social media has us promoting everything that we're doing. We promote it so much that we can't even get away with it no more. You know, you got people, you know, Bobby's murdering themselves, snitching on wax, and doing all these different things as if, it's just the cool thing to do. No. What was the phrase back then? Real G's moving what? Silence.
Silence.
That's how we got to start moving. We have to get back to that mentality like, yo, I have to first identify who my enemy is and who's my ally. Once I identify who my enemy is and who my ally, the Bible says, don't let the left hand know what the right hand's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So you like going back to what you were saying earlier, if it only takes three of us to do what we got to do, it will only take three of us to do what we got to do. You vet who you want to come in because you know they're going to be about something or they're going to be about nothing. Most people talk. Very few actually move. And that's why we see our people constantly in the situation that they're in. Because people want change. People want a difference. People want freedom, financial freedom, educational freedom, relationship freedom. People want these things. But people don't know how to obtain it.
Or if they
And
know how to obtain it, they don't want to put in the extra work to obtain it.
that part.
Like
We
about this generation that we are living in, they expect everything to be given to them. They don't know how to put in that work. Chad,
facts.
when we was on Roosevelt football team. After every practice, Vito and Curtis and them was gone. We was
talking to my child,
what?
talking to my child.
Yeah.
Hey, mama.
Hey, hold on.
Shalom,
But
mama.
I mean, so do you believe
Chad and
that?
Cleve says hello, everybody.
Shalom, mama. How you doing?
You
Boy,
believe
you
that?
just messed up
How's everything?
my whole flow. We like,
Hey, mama. You gotta let it be.
hey, what's going on? But no, like I was saying, Vito and Curtis and them was gone. But yet we was practice over at 5:30. We ain't walking back to the freaking to the school till like 6:30. Why? Because we was putting in that extra work. We wanted to be the best in Long Island. That's the
And we had to
problem
walk
that I see
home.
with the that,
So
some of us
imagine,
was living in Freeport, but that's
so
besides the point.
imagine working out, your legs tight, and you still gotta walk a mile home.
Walk
You just
all the
gotta
way back
walk
home.
with
You
your
know what I'm
book
saying?
bag
But
and your equipment.
exactly.
But
And
Yo,
these kids, like, they don't want to put in that extra work. They don't want to. Anything that you plan on being great in, you got to put in the time. You got to
but
put in the work.
now,
but a lot of
Neo
them
was
got
a
a
Hall of
defeated
Fame coach.
mentality though, and
You
that's
got
real
to
talk.
work out of people. Neo was a Hall of Fame fucking coach. I ain't gonna sit here and stunt to you. He knew what the fuck he was doing.
Yeah,
Yo, we
you
used to
know.
say it all the time. Vito took niggas and made men out of them.
You
Yo,
know, man, like
but you're right though, and the thing is, right, it's important that we remember, you know, and not just Vito, you know, because if you play for PAL, you know, if you play for the rough, you know, the Pee Wee leagues, there was great men there too. You know, I know, Coach Tony,
time out,
Coach
before we
Chuck,
get too
you
far,
know,
before we get too far.
Mr. Jerry. All these men, you know, played very pivotal parts in our lives. We had men teach us, not just our fathers. You know, we had other men willing to step up in our lives to show us. And I tell people like, yeah, I grew up in a small black community, but we actually had real men that taught us what it was to
Yeah,
be men. You know, but
we had
now
what I call block fathers.
facts. But now a lot of the generations that we're seeing, a lot of those men have moved. You know, they passed. They're no longer amongst us. You know, you got some of the younger generations who are stepping up, and you know they're playing an impact. You know, I'm still paying attention to what's happening. You know, so you got real people still, you know, doing it, but it's only but so much because think about this Deion Sanders thing, you know, in HBCU and how people was getting mad that he took the money from Oregon or whatever college you went to, right?
Colorado.
Colorado. Appreciate it. You know, a lot of people talk about, oh, he stepped out on the HBCU to go get the money. I'm like, okay, yeah, he did. You know, and that could very well be true. But why are there no other men stepping up in his place? And that's the thing I'm talking about when it comes to our youth.
Man,
Sometimes there are some men that are
you
here
gotta bring
to
the
show
clown
men the
and make
way
the
for them
nonsense.
to step up when it's time for them to go. That's how you pass the torch. You know, in some churches, you got some pastors who don't want to pass that torch. So they still teaching that same message. They teaching that same message from
Pastors, most of these
1985.
pastors today, they are all about the groove. A lot of these
You know,
pastors are about the groove.
and
The
then, and then
pastors are not how they used to be anymore. I mean,
because
they're
it's
not
the
how they
same
used to be.
pastor. He done ran out of material. He done ran out of material.
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
you know, but instead of him taking someone else that's younger and him and grooming him and maturing him, that person's going to come with a new, fresh zeal. You know, and that's what we need. We need a new generation to come with a new, fresh zeal. We are at that age now. Real talk, we are at that age when we think about it. Um, you don't have to, most people in their 20s ain't ready. And that's just facts. In your 20s, you're still trying to get your life together. You're trying to figure out what you're trying to do. You're trying to figure out who you're trying to be. You know,
Yep.
I didn't even get my understanding, my relationship with the creator until I was 28. But now that I'm 36, I've matured more since I've gotten that balance of having the creator in my life, having understanding in my life, having the experiences in my life, and now I'm looking forward to what I'm going to do next. So now I'm trying to figure out, okay, I got my children. How am I going to make things better for them? How am I going to make things work for them? How am I going to make things happen for them? But in order for that to happen, I have to do something. You know, I have to work. You know, my wife is constantly pushing me to, what are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do next? What are we gonna do next? Because she knows that we have a goal. And that goal is to be in a place of success that our children can be in a place. So it can perpetuate and
Yeah, I
grow
got
further.
you.
So 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 I got children inside the home. I have children outside the home. I I am. what they would say, a statistic. Yes, I'm a black man that's married, but I've been divorced. I had children outside of wedlock. I have children outside my home. I grew up without my father. I can check off all these different negative stereotypes that they want to give. But I can also check off the
Okay.
positive ones as well because
That's
I've
nothing.
matured and I've grown. And that's what a lot of us have to start, remembering. We have to become the examples that we want to see our children have. We got to start creating the content that we want our children to watch. We have to start being the creative force that is needed and necessary in order for a movement to really take place. Because I do not support BLM. I'm telling y'all that now. I do not support BLM because I don't believe they really understand what they're saying. Because you can't say you support Black Lives Matter, but then you want to get rid of the nuclear family, where the nuclear family is how Black lives are supposed to be created. We are supposed to be creating new life, and that takes a man and a woman to create new life. And if you want to have stable life, marriage should be the forefront. We shouldn't just be having children at a wedlock.
Why does BLM have to have the LGBTQ all over it?
Because that was the goal from the beginning.
No, it's the LGBTQ movement. It's not black. It's not
Exactly.
about black lives. They just use those terms.
Because
Actually, it does make sense as I think about it. Because when you think about it, Black Lives Matter. Yeah, Black lives do matter to them because they want to change the influence of these Black lives. They want to change the youth. They want the youth being transgender. They want the youth to be confused, to be a baby. Fucking babies, bro. Babies? What is a baby,
yep,
bro?
man. For
Hey,
me, a baby is a life, and that starts when it has a heartbeat. I say conception, a baby's
no,
a
not a
baby.
baby. A baby. Baby.
A what?
Baby.
Davy.
Day. Yeah.
What's a Davy?
A baby.
Baby?
No. 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 Tay. They.
Davy?
Be. Baby, nigga.
What's a baby, baby?
That's a that's a baby who doesn't decide their gender until they choose their gender. The child
What?
choose their gender from a
Wait, wait,
baby.
wait, wait, wait,
Wait,
wait,
wait,
wait.
wait, 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 babe. Listen to this, right? He said a baby. Yeah, They is a baby that doesn't know their gender yet.
Yeah.
His gender is assigned at birth. I can open up a leg and say that's a boy or that's a girl. I
No.
can see that. Oh,
Exactly.
he has
No.
C's. She
The
has
baby,
eggs.
the baby gets to choose what it is.
Listen,
Right, right.
listen,
Not
listen, listen.
God,
Turn it down, Azaria.
See,
the
that's the
kid.
confusion right there.
So, but
The
that's
kid
them attacking. That's them
gets the
helping
right to
the
avoid
attack
their
on the
parents,
kids with
regardless
it.
of the parts, regardless of whatever. They get to choose which lifestyle they want. They get to choose their gender.
See, and that's my problem right there. That's my problem because, like I said, I was 28 when I do some. So you cannot tell me that child can make any kind of decision. Daughter, you're not a boy. I mean, you're not a girl. You're a boy. Then my daughters are like, how can you identify a boy? Well, normally he has something between his legs, but I don't have nothing in between my legs. But
Then you're not
guess
a
what?
boy.
You're a boy,
What?
and that's what they're doing. They say, oh, that's what these people are doing. They say, well, yeah, you may be a girl, but if you feel like you're a boy, and I'm like, okay, what's that happening?
No, no, no. I'm not camera ready. I was just trying to see if that was funny. Anyways,
I see, see.
I'm hungry.
Let me ask you guys a question. Going back to what you was talking about earlier, because this is way back. Do you believe that the Earth is flat? Do you believe that the dome is over the Earth?
Um,
In regards to okay, I've been doing a lot of research right about this, right? And when we talk about flat Earth, there's several aspects of it. First and foremost, water is the main factor. When I look at water, right, water is always flat. If you look at a waterfall, it always goes down. Gravity always moving, right? When you fly an airplane always goes straight. It shows you these things by measurements. When you look at the horizon, it's always a flat plane. You don't see any dips or curvature or anything of that nature. Physics and gravity and all that scientific stuff proves it automatically that the Earth itself is flat. Now, in regards to the whole globe and spinning, it can't really spin. Well, it spins, but it can't be a globe because if it's a globe, that means something's falling out. you know, some have you perfect example. You have a basketball, right? If you pour water on a basketball, it falls to the side, right? It doesn't just stays; it falls on the side. So no matter how you move it, that water's going to fall to the side. So in order for the globe to be what it is, and now they're saying, well, it's inside of a dome. Whether it's inside of a dome, look at a snow globe. If you look at a snow globe and you tilt it upside down, it's going to be the same thing. It's still going to move out. So we have various aspects of it in regards to it, but I believe it is flat. Food. Gotcha.
All right. So my whole thing is, God says it's flat, then it's flat. I believe in the dome. I mean, for so many different reasons. For the fact that they were sending bombs at the dome, and it didn't break in what 63, 1963.
It makes you question about the moon landing, right?
I knew all of that is fake. I mean, the moon rocks don't they look fabricated. You've been there. Like moon rocks and all of that stuff look fabricated. I never believed that they went to the moon. I never believed in all of these different things. Like it's all phony. Anybody who said they're an astronaut or they've been to space, like think about how many years. Think about the progression that I mean. The only place they ever been was when they transport to Mars due out the frequency of the Earth. Because there's life forms on different planets, and the only way you can get there is through spiritual form and portals. And they deal with so much magic, and they deal with so much carnage, and they know the dark arts. I
But
believe.
science is magic, you know. That's why I tell people like science is a modern version of magic because magic used to be mysterious. Everybody, no one knew how things happen. But if you do the studies and the research, that's only science. So, but when you were saying, in regards to the moon landing and everything of that nature, I can prove it didn't exist because they said he got a phone call from the moon saying they landed. I said, how you get a phone call? I live in South Carolina in the sticks, and I don't got good reception. That sometimes I call people and they can't even hear me. But you go talk to someone in on the moon, millions of miles away. Come on now. Back in the 50s, 80s, 60s when that happened. But yet we don't have good reception in 2022. That's not true. That's false. That's a false narrative. But common sense, you know, at that age, who saw it then are older now, and they're realizing that that didn't happen. It wasn't true. But going back to like you were saying though, it's the cover ups that's the problem. You know, we live in a dishonest society. You know, everybody wanna make things up that's not true and expect for people to believe it.
No, people do. It's like, I implore you. I'm an honest person, but I know from when I used to lie that people believe they rather believe the lie than believe the truth. You tell somebody the truth, they'll tell you you're lying. You tell somebody you lying, I mean, you tell somebody a lie, they believe you all the time. That's crazy. It goes to the psychology of a person nowadays. The psychology of a person right now. They just want to. They just want to be. They just want to be self sufficient. Everybody want to be self sufficient. Everybody want to make sure they are good. Nobody cares about anyone else. It's just a total debacle. Everything is crazy.
That's a dangerous thing, though. Personally, because if you're not caring about no one else, right, you're not caring about the future. And if you're not caring about the future, you know, you're not caring about what's to come. Like, like we got children out here. You know, if I'm not making sure my children's future is straight, how is my legacy going to stay on this earth? You know, and I'm talking about from a bloodline thing. I'm talking about from a teaching thing. The things I teach my children, I want them to pass on to their children.
Definitely.
And then that's how my legacy continues. That's how I have eternal life on this earth. It's through the bloodlines of my descendants. You know, and that's a real thing for me because I'm an only child. My father and my mother only had me. So if I didn't have no children or I had no boys, my legacy upon this earth would have been shut. So I want eternal life. I want my presence to be felt on this earth like my ancestors want their presence to be felt on this earth through me. And that's why the future is important. And that's why I'm a strong advocate for families. You know, I'm currently in school studying to be a marriage family therapist because I believe that in order to have a strong nation, you have to have strong communities, but that first starts with strong families and marriages.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
if we want to progress as a people, we have to progress with ourselves, you know, in our self-esteem and how we conduct ourselves, but in our relationships, how we find our partners and how we treat them. Because these are a good woman is going to be the woman that I'm gonna know that, you know what, my seed is going to go into your womb and we're going to bring forth life. And the scriptures say, "You shall know fruit by his, you shall know a deed by his fruits." So if you want to know if I was a good man or not, you gotta look at my children, and my children are resemblance of every phase I was in. My oldest, if anyone knew me at 17, you should already know how my daughter is. But my younger daughters now, they're very smart. You know, intellectual, and they have a praise within them, you know, for the Most High that I could only dream of having when I was a child. So it goes to show how important we as black men have to be for our children's sake and for our futures. Because if we're not doing what we need to do, and we're not, stepping into positions and the purpose that we are supposed to be stepping in, what ends up happening is we find ourselves falling short. And therefore, us falling short allows our communities to fall short, and therefore,
to fall
we do
short.
not get nowhere. And that's why we're in the situation we are in now, because the men fell short at some point
Yeah.
in time. But that also goes back to the
Isn't
position of
that
the Willie
also
Lynch, the conditioning of slavery, the problems that we have faced as a society of blacks. So there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
moving pieces that came in about this problem didn't happen overnight. And it's not going to get fixed overnight. It's going to take generations to get this right. And that's just
But
truth.
look at how long it took for
we are the most
black people to get to where we are now.
we're the most degraded gender and people. We're lower than dogs, bro. We're lower than dogs in their eyes, bro. And that goes for our women too. They treat us like nothing. They treat us like nothing but a piece of meat, bro. Like we are
Nah,
nothing.
nah, not even a
But
piece
but
of
we
meat,
but
a
we
dollar
but we
sign.
but you gotta remember we also play a part in that too. I was watching a video by with Judge Joe Brown, right? He was talking about how back in the 50s or the 60s, a lot of things took place in the 50s and the 60s. It's crazy, all the things that happened. But he was talking about how we had all these pro-black movies that would come out, right? And then they came out with Superfly and Dolomite and all these other black exploitation movies that showed drug dealing and pimping to be cool. And because
Mm-hmm.
we saw that drug dealing and pimping was cool, we portrayed that image like, oh, we want to be like Dolomite, we want to be like Superfly, we want to be in the game like them. We want to be, we want to have the fighting skills and everything, but they were fighting their brothers. It's
Yeah.
amazing. We was fighting each other in these movies. We were dealing drugs to each other in these movies. We were pimping our own women because they wouldn't allow us to pimp a white woman in these movies. No, we were pimping our
Of
own
course
women.
not.
So we were defiling our women. Now we got a defiled woman who would say, "Oh, well, you're gonna defile me. I'm gonna defile you because you stripped me of my value." We as black men are supposed to protect our women and children. But we failed to do that. Instead, we saw them the same way the white man saw our women, as pussy.
But
White
you
women,
contradicting yourself,
white
bro.
men used to rape our women on the plantations. White men used to, make our women do all this degrading stuff. And because we wanted to be like the white man, this equality talk, we want to be like them, we started degrading our women. We started calling our women bitches. We started doing all these things. And because we did this, guess what we gave birth to? The same shameless women that we have today. You got women thinking that it's okay to have 6, 7, 8 bodies easily. And that's before
And
they
that's
even
in one
graduate
year.
high school.
They got
That's
way
before
more
they
than
graduate
that.
high school. They think
They
it's
got
okay to
way
have that
more
many
than that.
bodies.
They got way
Huh?
more than that. You already know.
Exactly. Exactly. Like the mindset has changed. Now because men have been devalued to the degree now we're becoming getting back into our traditional sense. It's amazing how this thing works, right? So we lost our minds because the slave master killed our fathers off. We were so our men were raised by the women to be compliant and complacent. Then, because we are men, we wanted to be like the men that were in charge, that were white men. So then we had a white man's mentality. We started to treat our women that raised us as the white men treat them. Then they become the shameless women that they are today, therefore not caring about themselves, not valuing themselves, not, feeling like, hey, they're going to do anything for a dollar. And now we, back as black men, have seen this. We found out that we don't have any quality women now. I'm sorry. I wish I knew what I know now, because if I did, I wouldn't have slept with as many women as I did when I was younger. Because I did not know the value of a woman. And that's real talk. Because I wasn't taught the value of a woman. Because the men that were teaching me about women were the same men that was growing up watching Superfly growing up when they were children. You see
Yeah,
how that
yeah.
so you see how that cycle has passed on to the next generation?
I got you, but let's get back on this. I feel that you contradicted yourself, and I'm gonna point it out. All right, back in the beginning, I mean, of the conversation, you stated that the women went on food stamps and everything and said they didn't need a man or whatever the case may be. And now you're saying the men devalue the woman. Let's get it straight.
No, we talk
Okay,
about two different things though. Hold on.
that's
We talk
how I
about
feel.
two different
That's how
things.
I
We talk about the family structure versus the quality of women.
But that
There's a
wasn't.
difference.
No, no, no. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, and I'm gonna explain my point. Okay, all right. When the men were in the household, they wasn't defiling the women. They wasn't doing none of that. After the civil rights movement was over, the women's rights movement came. The white women who were being defiled by their men and being treated badly by their men. They wanted women's rights. They wanted to be able to be paid as much as a man. They wanted to be able to rule because let's get it right. Social services and all of that was given to white women first. Was given to white women first. It was only made available to black women and black families when the women's right movement uh got passed. I mean, you know what I mean? So, like,
Hmm.
just think about it like this: the women traded the men, they traded in the men for a check and some food stamps and some housing.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
didn't
I get what you're saying.
That's
they
true.
traded us in the back instead of fighting with us and pushing for the black national movement or any other movement to get equality for our people. I mean, they didn't care about. They cared about women's. They went for the gender. They got befriended by white people. Why you think like a black woman will get a job over you any day of the week?
That's
Any
facts.
day, any day.
The black woman in that position. The black man and I mean the white man and the white woman feel more comfortable with a black woman in the position other than a black man.
Yeah,
That's facts.
yeah.
So when you think about they made these alliances. They made these alliances. We had no part of it. They helped to discriminate against us. They helped to push us farther down the ladder because if they would have stood strong with us, we wouldn't be in this position. They made
No
us
fact.
by joining up with the white man and the white woman and those women's rights instead of sticking by the black men like Malcolm X, the black men like Marcus Garvey, the black men like Malcolm X. They didn't stick by them. And you know what? And we got to kind of turn folks into men too. Because the men would tell these women that they was correct. The men would say good things to these women instead of telling them the truth. They won't tell them. They won't tell them that what you did, what y'all did was wrong, and we need to correct that. First, we gotta go back. We gotta understand that was wrong what you did to us, and now we gotta go back and correct that, and we gotta push forward as a people. But first, you gotta uplift us. You have to uplift the black man because if the black woman doesn't uplift the black man, that means it's a domino effect. if they're ahead of us, then it's not the way God intended. It's not never gonna be the right cycle. It's never gonna be the right movement with them ahead of us. And the white man knows this. The black man gotta be in the hand because if the black man was in the hand, then there's no confidence. Everything that the aura of a man, everything feeling like a man, not feeling depressed, knowing your, knowing your goals and conquering them. Because I can tell you like this: when a black man feels supported, he can conquer the world. You know what I mean? I know motherfuckers who used to go out, break their backs, and die just to go out and make sure that everything was provided for. You know what I'm saying? Just because they had that support. They had that support there. It wasn't because they didn't have no support. They had that support there. Like, you got to think about our grandparents and everything like that. The grandmas and shit, they always stuck by the grandpa. They always had his back at every turn, and it was the same way. You better not say nothing to your grandma. You better do what she's saying. You know what I mean? They ain't play that. They did not play that. Like that's where I feel relationship roots from. Because like you got to think about when we grew up. Like we grew up, it was a lot of black businesses. Everybody was owning everybody almost everybody owned their home. That means until everything started to fall apart and people started losing their home. You know what I mean? It was just crazy. It's just crazy. The black woman is the key. That was the key to the whole thing. That's the why we live in the way we are. You know what I mean? That was the key. That was the path. That was the checkmate move. When they aligned the black woman with their ways and said, move away from this, move away from these men, and we're gonna set you up. When they did that right there,
it goes way beyond that. See,
that's not.
It goes beyond that. It goes further than that. See, there's generational things that we have to remember. You're speaking about a generational moment. That was one generational moment, and because it didn't get corrected then, it led to another generational moment. Each time we failed to recognize the mistakes that was done, you know, going back to what you were saying before, the lost tribes. The lost tribes was lost because of what? Disobedience. It wasn't the women, it was the people, men and women. We were disobedient to the Creator. We were disobedient. So because we were disobedient, we were scattered. We had to go through all this other stuff. And then from that, we ended up here. Then we got slavery. Then they demasculated the men during that time period. They raped the women during that time period. We had so much chaos, confusion, and hurt and pain and destruction that happened in that slave period that we mentally lost reality of who we are. They literally, going back to that, they destroyed us and then rebuilt us in the way that they wanted to build us into. So now, because we became destroyed of our own natural positions of knowing our roles, knowing our abilities, knowing who we are, they literally whipped our self-identity. They whipped our self-identity from us. So now we are only seeing what they want. We're believing in their white God. We're believing in their white image. We're believing in all this stuff. So then, we're dressing like them. We're talking like them. We're acting like them. But we know in our minds we would never be them. Then it goes into how they saw that we was now taking the information, taking the knowledge, taking the education that they was giving us, and we were doing something with it. That became a threat. then it came into going back into what you're taking the man from the family because they had to re-break us. They had to re-break us because we were gaining a self identity once again, and that is a problem. So they broke us to the point that the man and the woman separated. Then guess what? You have women becoming, the leaders in their households. People talk about the matriarch versus the patriarch. All this happened, and I'm agreeing with everything you were saying. That separation of the black man and black woman was real. But what happened to those black boys that was being raised by those women? They started to have a resentment for those women because dad is no longer in that house. And that resentment started to also go with what they were showing in the media, going back to the movies I was telling you. So it said, okay, now we got you hating your mothers because the day we move your fathers, now we want you to see what you're going to do to women that look like your mother. So now
Yo,
we over here,
yo, fellas, I gotta wrap this up. I gotta head to work.
facts. So then we have us treating our women like they ain't shit, like they're worthless, they're not valuable. We're treating our women this because we have anger towards our mothers who removed our fathers for a check.
Yeah.
And then from there, because of how we treated the women, now the women are retaliating based upon that same interaction. You see how the generational landslide happened? Because that's what happens when you strip somebody of their self identity. So what you're saying is true. It has some merit. But the bigger picture is we have to first regain our self identity, not who they say we are, not who they think we are, not who they want us to be, but who we were created and purposed to be from the beginning. So when we get back to that mentality, to be like, I am who God created me. I am the masculine energy that God created me to be. I am the feminine energy that God created me. I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. I am a father. I am a mother. I am. The Most High says, I am which I am. We're supposed to have that same energy. If you believe in the creator, you should have the same creator energy to know that you are purpose because nobody was created for no reason. So because we are purpose, we have to start acting in that divine purpose that we're having. But that comes with taking away the mentality that we've been given. So everything you're saying is true. The thing is, we have to make that switch now because now we can identify all the problems. But the question is, what are the solutions? What can we do to get the black family back together? What can we do to build bonds again? What can we do to increase our neighborhood? What can we do to make the difference?
Listen, a lot of things, are that you're bringing up. Like, what are the solutions? I don't even know if where we could start with that because a lot of the generations, like the women nowadays, I mean, they done seen, I mean, effects of all everything stemming from the breakdown of the black family. They never really seen a black family stick together. They never really like that. That's only like fairy tales, and then most of them that are together, they're together for a little while, 10 years or so, and then they're divorced. You know what I mean? Or they know one of their parents is cheating on the other one, and I mean, or something like that, and it just crumbles, and I mean, from the inside out. You know what I mean? Even that structured life. So I don't know if we could ever, because even through slavery, even through all of it, we stayed together as a people. You know what I mean? But after that, I don't know what's going on. You know, like after the women's rights movement and everything like that, I don't know what how we can get back because the women always gonna want control. It's like it goes back to Adam and Eve. The woman is cursed to always want to be on top of the man, and Satan used that to his advantage.
Yo, it was crazy. My wife said that same thing earlier. She said because of Adam and Eve, Eve's desire is to always to be what her man is, to be the role, to be the head, to be the lead, and that goes to show that this goes way back. You know, this goes way back, but there is order because the Most High doesn't just create chaos. There is order, and I think once someone knows how to effectively communicate, trust, learn how to build in regards to what's important. I think that we have the plan, we have the opportunity to make a difference. It may not be with this generation. I told many that things may not start working now, but if we start working it now, it's gonna work. It's gonna get back together about the time our grandchildren come into this world, because I'm teaching my children the mistakes I made, and I know they're gonna make their own mistakes, but I'm trying to lead them in a better path that I was led, so they can know that they are valuable. You don't have to give yourself up to everyone. My children will be the unicorns. They will be those rare finds, because I'm going to raise them up to be that way. But they're also going to have a standard. You're not going to just be able to get my child because you feel like you cute or you handsome or you got all this. Nah, you're going to have a certain quality about yourself, and that's the thing. We have to start showing what quality is. Marriage is not perfect. It's not, and it's not the easiest thing, because you're growing, you're in a journey, and sometimes people, go through things, but we can't have a mentality to easily give up. We have to be able to persevere. If you chose to be with this man, if you chose to be with this woman, you have to make the conscious decision, despite whatever you go through, that y'all going to work it out. Because guess what? That's all you have. Or you just go find yourself with someone else and still end up in the same way, and then you're gonna have regrets. But the scriptures, if we literally did what the scriptures told us to do, I'm not even talking about the whole book. I'm just talking about in the Torah itself. We would have a major shift in responsibilities, because we have to learn how to become accountable once again. I can't be accountable for every man. I can only be accountable for myself. You can't be accountable for every man. You only could be accountable for yourself. But we take accountability of our actions and our decisions, and we stay dedicated to do what is right, we will pass that on to our children. And that's the important thing, that we pass on the right things. Pass on the things that's going to help them succeed. Pass on the things that's going to help bring order for the futures to come. But we have to be the ones to first say, you know what? I take accountability for what I did do, and I'm going to make the change for my children to learn, so they don't make those same things, so we can grow. Because guess what? You may not see the promised land, and that's okay. Moses did all the work and did not see the promised land. Well, he saw it, but he didn't go inside of it. So maybe at our old age, we may see a better tomorrow. But it all starts with what we do today. And that's where I yield.
I totally agree, but I will add a couple of things. I mean, it's all about giving the child the time. I mean, every child wants to be like they seek attention. They just want to know that they could talk to you and you're gonna listen to them and you're gonna really genuinely care about them. You know what I mean? Like children are easy because they are innocent. You know what I mean? And you just gotta protect that innocence. You gotta protect that innocence because out here right now they're trying to take all the kids' innocence. They want like I was reading this thing, and this dude wrote that, I mean, if your child worships Satan on one day of the year, it's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Like we should not be worshiping Satan on any day of the year. You know what I mean? Like these people don't understand, like right now in the winter solstice and everything like this. Like this is totally a dark time, and to keep to put the children, the innocence at the forefront of certain festivities, of certain festivals, of certain practices, it just makes us seem like, I mean, and people don't even understand that pagans are witches, vampires, werewolves. They think that all of these things in horror movies are not real, but they are. They are real, and certain things happen under your watch. You're under. See, they got you in a trance, and you don't understand everything that's going on here. Like you could see all the disappearances, all the kidnappings. It's just numbers, and oh, I feel bad for that person at that time. But it's not. Oh, how many of these are going on? Why are all of these going on? What can we do in the community to try to prevent these things from happening? Nah, people are too busy getting hit by cars because they're watching their phones. You know what I mean? Like people are so into and consumed with what's going, the distractions. Like people will sit up here and talk about, oh, our little Romeo is right for doing that to his daddy and all of this other stuff. They want to talk about what's his name? What's his name? Tory Lanez and Meg The Stallion and the other girl shot shooting and all of this other stuff.
Honestly, that's just more confusion just being played out. Honestly,
Yeah,
all that is just more confusion, and it's just feeding into the narrative. And we have to stop doing that. We have to stop allowing them to feed us a narrative. We have to start like, nah, that's what you want. That's the agenda you want to push. We're not going to stand with that. You know. So, oh, I wanted to tell you, right? So the Hebrew word for Satan, right? Well, Satan, what they use is shaitan, which means adversary. So anytime you're giving an adversary any type of energy, you're literally coming against yourself. Because you got to think about that. If that is your adversary, who are they the adversary to? To you. So if you're giving anything to your adversary, you're giving you're giving a problem to you. You're causing your own demise. You're bringing problems into your own household, and that's what I wanted to share with you. So you're absolutely right. The agendas that they're trying to push is crazy and it's wicked.
man. Everything that I see is wicked, and you know what I mean. It's but we all have sinned. Any man who says he's without sin is a liar to himself. So I just, I mean, I just sit and I just try to use the sermon to like, I mean, decode all of these things that I'm seeing, and I feel like I'm out of place because I could see like we are all vessels. Like the Bible makes sure that it mentions vessels plenty of times. I mean, it's all throughout the Bible. Vessel, 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 vessel. And that's because we are vessels. We can be inhabited by spirits when we break the spiritual laws, and they make sure that we break the spiritual laws so we can be inhabited. So if when you really think about it, like you think about they casted out thousands of the demons from the man and they went into the pigs from the crazy men, right? You think about when Jesus did that, right? So if if you can be inhabited by thousands of demons, you got to think about it, bro. At any time, anybody like whoever's like you was talking about, people go crazy or people got mental illness. The mental illness is brought on, and I'm gonna tell you because personally went through this. You know what I mean? It's personally brought on. It's not about it's the demons. You open these doorways, and the demons control your mind. They control your actions. They control these things, and sometimes you'll be sitting up there like, why did I do that? Like Like I know a lot of people who sit in jail and they be like, "Yo, why did I do that? Why? I mean, why did I do that? Why did I do this? Why did I mess up this money? Why did I do all of that?" They don't understand that when you do that and you don't do things the correct way, when you don't do things the correct way, those things have repercussions and you can be inhabited because we are vessels. And when we are inhabited, I mean, we are not in control. We don't have the will. We don't have free will. Our minds are being controlled, and it's not even mind control. We are being controlled physically. Like you know how they used to have the all of it. It's like crane. It's like they're crane in our bodies. They're the brain and shit, and we the big ass dummy. You remember Ninja Turtles, bro?
Yeah, I remember. And you're absolutely right, though. All that's correct. And it's amazing, right, that you brought that up. Because being vulnerable, you know, it's like a dual edged sword. We allow ourselves to be vulnerable to the wrong thing. And because we allow ourselves to be vulnerable to the wrong thing, we ended up being susceptible to everything. Going back to what you were saying prior. Um, that's why it's important to be protected spiritually, mentally, emotionally. All these are things that we have to have in order for us to survive what we are all experiencing in this time.
Uh-huh. For real though. We definitely got to, because everything right now, if we're not protected, if we're not covered under the armor, if we don't, we not, we like, they used to always say, stay prayed up. Like, not only do you have to stay prayed up, you gotta have that relationship. You gotta have that relationship to where, like, if you walking down the street, you talking to yourself, you're not even talking to yourself. You're talking to the Lord, and it doesn't matter who hears you or who sees you because you don't feel out of place. They don't understand, and it's better not that they don't understand because I mean, let them be ignorant to the facts. Because ignorance is bliss, and at the end of the day, when the accuser says like you knew this, the people who know and act like they don't know, they're gonna have to pay. Because every time we go out here and we do this, and everybody wants to be against the progression of our people. They want to be against the truth being revealed for our people. They want to be against everything that any black man that tries to strive to own anything, to own an airline, to own a prestigious channel. I mean, news company, anything like that. Come on, bro. Like they it's not in the cards for black people. Like, look, Master P is a mogul. They using his son to come after him. Like, come on. Homeboy had a house when we were kids, bro. He had a whole house. And you really gonna come after your pops? I just seen you like a year ago. Y'all was promoting mad shit, mad businesses you was doing. And now
Facts.
like, come on. Like, I don't understand that. Like, if your pops had your back your whole life, he been there in your whole life, had your back. You ain't never want for nothing. You had millions of dollars. You're like, come on, bro. Like, you came in rich. You turn on your pops. Your pops come from the dirt, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's all a part of the agenda. And that's the thing. It's all a part of the agenda. So, thank you. So, we have to be mindful, right, that there is an agenda. All right. So, because there is an agenda, and we are mindful, and I'm gonna have to get off. I have a Hebrew class after this, but we have to know who are the ones in charge of that agenda. And going back to what you were saying, we have to stop trying to depend on getting into their systems, and we have to start building and creating our own. We have the intellect. We have the people that are capable of creating, videotaping, doing all these things. YouTube has shown that people can create anything they want to, and we have coders who can create websites. The only thing we have to do is start building our own platforms. Get off their platforms. Stop allowing them to control our narrative. Stop allowing them to control what we want, what they want for us, and start being the leaders that we were created to be. That we may bring forth the righteousness that it belongs on the earth. Because guess what? If we continue to fall into their systems, we're going to constantly be in this perpetual state of confusion and wickedness. And it's that simple. Either we're going to get off the boat, or we're going to stay on and allow them to take us wherever they want to take us next.
I totally agree.
But bro, I got it, Jet. It's definitely been a pleasure. Just having this conversation. We definitely gotta have more of these, so we can, continue to build and find solutions. Find solutions.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate
Definitely.
you know what I mean? Like, have a good inside, have a good perspective. I definitely know this split and peace and love. You know what I mean?
Shalom, son. All right. I'll be in touch.